Okay, everyone, have a seat. Welcome to Union Theological Seminary in the city of New York's 189th Convocation. Wow. And I'm going to start, as we do with all of our events and ceremonies, by reading our land acknowledgement. Union Theological Seminary acknowledges and honors the land on which this building stands as the homeland and the territory of the Lenape people, as well as the habitat and the dwelling place of the many beings they have been in relationship with. We give thanks to all the spirits of nature. We pay respect to the Lenape people, past, present, and future, and we express support for the flourishing of indigenous peoples and lifeways within this place and everywhere. So welcome, everyone. We have a wonderful program planned to welcome our new class, and I'm going to begin today by inviting Dr. Mary Boyce to come forward and say a few words about one of our beloved faculty members who passed away this summer.
We gather this afternoon at the beginning of a new academic year, a year that has a mix of exuberance and expectation, anticipation, tinged maybe with apprehension. And we begin today in gratitude for the life of Roger G. Haight, a cherished member of this faculty for 20 years, who died on June 19th, Juneteenth. A New Jersey native, Roger entered the Society of Jesus, a Catholic men's religious order, and he did his own theological training in the Philippines, returning to teach there on several occasions after his ordination to the priesthood in 1967. Prior to coming to Union, he taught primarily in theological schools in Chicago, Toronto, and Cambridge, Massachusetts. In between, he was a visiting professor in India, Kenya, France, and Peru. The story of his coming to Union is too long and too complex to recount entirely on this occasion. Let us just say that certain powers at the Vatican found Father Haight's theology didn't fit quite into the doctrinal system. Roger, a quiet man, nevertheless stood firm. He called it his dust-up with the Vatican. The doctrinal system stretched, eventually. Profoundly prolific, he wrote many articles and books on an astonishing array of topics, including his award-winning 1999 500-page tome, Jesus, the Symbol of God. That's also what got him in trouble with the Vatican. And it won an award from the Catholic Theological Booksellers. While he was at Union, 3 of the books that he wrote during that time were influenced very much not only by being here at Union, but specifically by the concerns and interests of the students. A Christian Spirituality for Seekers in 2012, a book called Jesus and Buddha, Friends in Conversation, which he co-wrote with his dear friend here, our emeritus professor, Paul Knitter. And then in fall 2024, he released his last book at the age of 88, called Race, Facing Race, the Gospel in an Ignatian Key. He was widely respected for the depth and breadth of his knowledge. He was the recipient of many awards. The only person I know who wasn't impressed by Roger Haight was Roger Haight. He was a no-frills kind of guy. He showed up to do whatever work there was to be done, and he did it. He was truly humble. Parenthetically, I would say that humility is not the virtue most associated with academics. But he was the real thing. He had a wide circle of friends who loved him dearly and grieve his loss. Roger Haight lived the faith that he studied and taught. And this is the word he brings to us at this 189th convocation. Search the meaning of your faith so that it becomes capacious and real. Live into it and let it direct your steps. May Roger's memory be a blessing for us all, and particularly for our entering students.
Thank you, Dr. Boyce. We'll be having a memorial service in James Chapel, I believe it's October 7th, at 6 o'clock in honor of Roger Haight. So we're off to a good start already. We've had UT 101 for the entering MAR and MDiv students. Spent a week with myself and the dean in the evenings, meeting all different faculty. We've had orientation, and then yesterday we began the semester officially. And I want to take a minute to say a word of thanks to all of the people who worked hard over the summer and up to this point just to assure that the transition into this place was smooth. I want to begin by thanking our facilities workers and the team led by our COO, Bill Peabody. The courtyard looks beautiful, the classrooms look beautiful. One note about the facilities, we're in the process of putting in a new heating and cooling system in the space underneath the chapel, and we're going to bring it up into the chapel, which means we have to turn off the old system. So as soon as we turn off the heating system, this place will get cold. We don't know if it'll be October, November, December. But whenever it gets cold, we will be migrating to a new space in the base of 100 Claremont and have chapel there until it's warm enough to return to the chapel. But what that means is we will get a new heating system, and for the first time ever, we will have an air-conditioned chapel. So I officially announced this as the last hot convocation. So I also want to say a word of thanks to the union administrative staff in general, who are all in their offices all summer working, and in particular to the orientation and admissions team. Dean Abby, Vanessa Hutchison, Jermaine, Zai, Taylor. Wow, what a great orientation. There's so many more people to thank, but I want to welcome back the faculty who have, some of you have been away over the summer, some of you have been here working hard, some of you have been away working hard. And especially I want to welcome Cassandra King, who has just arrived as our new professor. Woo! And she will be speaking to us and will be introduced more fully by Dean Pock in just a minute. I'm also pleased to welcome members of our Board of Trustees. We have Richard Eady is here, and we have Ruth Wooden, who is here, and we also have Rhonda Joy McLean, and Rhonda Joy McLean is the vice chair of the board, but she has a very, very important job right now. She is the chair of the Presidential Search Committee. So I wanted to ask her to come up, and so you all can just believe that that search committee exists, and then you'll get a chance to see Rhonda Joy.
Good afternoon. Oh, no. I'm from North Carolina. I grew up with Baptists. Let's start again. Good afternoon. See how easy that was? So, hello, everyone, and welcome to the 189th Convocation. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, who are fully committed to a union growing into the future, welcome. I just want to start by saying, she made me do this. Let the record show. All right. So let's just all start the raves for her now. It is impossible to replace this woman. That is not what I'm trying to do here. So let's just get that clear. So let's stand up and give a rousing round of applause. That's just the beginning, so keep your hands hot. So I'd like to start by introducing you to the search committee. I'm going to read the full roster and then share our mission statement, and then I'm going to sit down. So we have a student representative, Michelle Alexander. We have a staff representative, Abigail Asgarali, or as you know, Dean Abby. We have a distinguished faculty representative, Reverend Dr. Gary Dorian, the Reinhold Niebuhr Professor of Social Ethics. We have Clifford Hudson, our Union Board Chair. We have Calvin Mew, who's a longtime Union trustee and an alum of Union. We have Ruth Wooden, whom you'll hear shortly, who is the chair of our trusteeship committee. She is a Union trustee and an alumna, and she is also the founder of Union's Encore Transition Program. And then you got me. We are daunted, challenged, excited, honored, and privileged to have this undertaking. And I'm just going to read you our mission statement, and I want you to be looking out within the next few days. You'll all receive invitations to meet with our search firm, Spencer & Stewart, who is our partner in this quest. So the mission statement of the Union Presidential Search Committee is to lead a rigorous, inclusive, and timely search process that identifies and evaluates exceptional candidates for the presidency of Union Theological Seminary. Leaders who embody theological depth, have a bold vision for progressive education, and a strong commitment to social justice. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, students, alumni, faculty, and staff, we are not looking for another Serene, there is no such person. We are looking for the next president. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda Joy, for saying yes to being chair of that committee, and and I'm sure it gives people a sense of momentum, but also calm, knowing that this process is moving forward, and we have really wonderful people involved. I'm also pleased to welcome a number of new people who have come to the Union community over the summer and are enriching our work in all sorts of ways. I want to introduce Liz Reiner-Platt, who directs the Law, Rights, and Religions Project. Liz, great to have you part of this. I'm happy to introduce Casey Donahue, who is a Union alum and is the director of our storytelling project that is funded by the Lilly Endowment. And I'm also so excited to introduce Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum and Rabbi Mike Mauskowitz, who are here running a program called The Beacon. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So. And last but not least, I want to welcome all the returning students. If you're a returning student, could you stand up so we can just cheer for you? You came back. Yes, all right. Woo. Thank you. And then absolutely last, but absolutely not least, welcome entering class of 2025-26. Woo! You are our largest class in recent memory, and having already worked with you, I can't wait to see what the years ahead hold, all the excitement and vigor and sense of possibility, so we're very happy that you're here. I should say, just a sec, that it's with mixed feelings that I'm here today welcoming you. Well, knowing that this is going to be the last year that I do so as president. Adrian, welcome. Adrian Thorne from Riverside Church, senior pastor. After welcoming 18 years of new students to this remarkable, beloved institution, it struck me as I was writing this that the babies that were born the year I arrived are getting ready to graduate from high school. So that's quite a while. We'll have plenty of time to say goodbye to each other and also to get ready for new exciting leadership. Today, I just wanted to say that it's been the greatest honor and joy of my life to serve as president of Union. And I can't as yet imagine my days without the heartbeat, the very loud, strong heartbeat of this place echoing in my ears. I will miss this work enormously. That said, the decision to start a new phase of my own life was made by me with a sense of excitement about what the future holds when I'm not staring at budgets. And I'm looking forward to it. Returning to the classroom and to writing here at Union will be a joy as well. So we call this ceremony convocation, and the word comes from the Latin meaning to convoke. And what it means to convoke is to call out or to be called. It's a coming from without, a call that comes towards you. And it's a special word in the sense that it reminds us today that each one of you was called here by something beyond yourself, to be in this moment, to study theology, and to imagine new and empowering ways to serve the needs and concerns of our world. This year in particular stands out as one in which you are being called to study theology at a moment in our nation's history when we are struggling to survive under an administration hell-bent on dismantling the most fundamental structures and protections of our democracy. A moment where it is publicly okay to call empathy a weakness, to support dictators around the world and here, to kidnap people off the streets and send them to prison, to either outright support or remain silent on the many genocidal campaigns that are being waged around the world against our precious siblings, the blatant disregard for our planet's health, and the hellscape that that disregard promises to deliver to us and our children and our children's children. And so the list goes on. So this year especially, I want to say to you all that it is no accident that you are here at this morally perilous, merciless point in our collective life. Forces larger than yourselves have decided that you are supposed to be here at this place, at this time, because there is important work for you to do, much of which you cannot see, but will be revealed to you. So take up the mantle. Take up that mantle of your role here and wear it with pride and purpose, knowing that all of us in this room and all of us who are online and generations of world-transforming ancestors that have been a part of this ceremony before us and those who will follow for 100 years or more to come, they are on the sidelines and yet also moving amongst us, always there, offering you encouragement and strength. Let us together in this year be strong and pull out of this utter havoc a life-giving year for all. So let us now join in the start of the ceremony where we get to hear many words about why that calling is so important. So I'm very happy now to do what is called the reading of the preamble, which was the document that was created when Union was founded in 1836. Just a quick word of background. Union was set to start. A group of pastors from New Haven and Princeton had decided that if you were going to get educated to service, you shouldn't do so in the quiet of the countryside. You needed to be in the heart of the city where all the problems of the world converged. And so they started Union. 3 weeks before they were scheduled to submit their charter was the Great Fire of New York that wiped out a third of the structures in the city. And they had a special meeting to decide whether or not to go forward with this radical plan. And after hours and hours and hours of meeting, because their finances had fallen through, they didn't know where they were going to meet because their house had burnt down. They said, yes, could there be a stronger calling in than what this moment offers us? So I'm going to ask Ruth Wooden to come forward and to read the words they wrote on that day when they got together and submitted their charter to the state of New York to start Union Theological Seminary. They're very old-fashioned words, so be patient.
Thank you, Serene. You are one brave woman. I'm proud to give this preamble that was written that brought this place to being. A number of leaders in the city of New York and Brooklyn, being deeply impressed by the claims of the world upon the faithful, do commit to furnish a competent supply of well-educated leaders Impressed also with the inadequacy of all existing means for that purpose, and believing that large cities furnish many particular advantages for conducting theological education, do resolve unanimously, in humble dependence on the grace of God, to attempt the establishment of a theological seminary in the city of New York. The founders hope and expect to call forth from this flourishing city genius, talent, and world-transforming zeal. It is the desire of the founders to provide a theological seminary in the midst of the greatest and fastest-growing community in America, a place around which all people who desire to live in freedom and to stand aloof from the extremes of doctrinal speculations and ecclesiastical domination may cordially and affectionately rally. Thank you.
All people who desire to live in freedom. Wow. And so now we join together in our matriculation litany. So we begin by asking those who are entering Union Theological Seminary to say the following words written in your program. In gratitude for Union Theological Seminary's heritage of freedom and commitment, as declared by the founders in the preamble to the Constitution that you have just heard, we pledge to help Union recognize and carry out its mission in our time. And for the rest of us who are here, let us say, with thanksgiving for those who have led you here and for your faithful response to their call, we pledge to support you as you join this community in its mission. And now for all the returning students in the Union community. In gratitude for Union's Theological Seminary's heritage of freedom and commitment, as first declared by the founders in the preamble to the Constitution, we pledge to help Union recognize and carry out its mission in our time. And let us all say together, with thanksgiving for those who have led you here and for your faithful response to their call, we pledge to support you as you continue in this community in its mission. Thank you.
Hello, Union family. I am so delighted to introduce to you our newest faculty member, Dr. Cassandra D. King, who is the Assistant Professor of Psychology and Religion. Dr. King is a womanist, pastoral, and practical theologian who centers Black girlhood experiences as vital sources for theological reflection and epistemology. She asks this core question: what can adolescent Black girls teach us about God's activity in this world? Her forthcoming book, Black Girls and Their Childhoods, Toward a Womanish Pastoral Theology, represents a methodological innovation that not only asserts the value of Black girls' voices, but regards their unique ways of knowing as essential contributions to research, writing, and practice. It's a perspective that enriches our understanding of pastoral theology itself. Dr. King's scholarly and pedagogical interests are deeply rooted in her lived experience as a clinical psychotherapist working with youth and families, as well as her practice as a registered Kemetic yoga instructor. Her commitment to this integration of the intellectual, clinical, spiritual, theological, and embodied practices and the critical analyses thereof reflects the grounded, holistic approach to theological education that Union aspires to. Prior to joining Union, Dr. King served at Iliff School of Theology as the Assistant Professor of Pastoral and Spiritual Care and Director of Master of Arts in Pastoral Spiritual Care. Her leadership extends beyond the classroom through her service on the Pastoral Psychology Journal editorial board, the Association of Practical Theology's Executive Committee, and her significant contributions to the American Academy of Religion, where she serves as co-chair of the Childhood and Religion Studies Unit and as a steering committee member of the Psychology, Culture, and Religion Unit. In Dr. King, we welcome not only a scholar of insight, but also a teacher whose womanist methodology and commitment to amplifying unheard voices will undoubtedly enrich Union's commitments and ongoing work of preparing religious and spiritual leaders in this hurting, complex, suffering world for time such as this. Welcome. Dr. King?
Thank you all so much. Thank you. I am beyond thrilled to be joining you. I am thrilled to be among this community. Just so glad and grateful to be here. So when I first began to prepare to be here with you all today, I had this flood of emotions and thoughts. I kept thinking, oh my goodness, I want to sound like this. Or, oh my goodness, I want to come across this way. Or what will they think if I say this? Or I should say this. Or, oh, even more so, I should never say this. The list truly and honestly goes on and on. But upon deeper reflection and internal wrestling with what was going on for me in this process, I asked myself, why? What was this impulse, this anxious energy that I was not only sensing, but also embodying? And after conversations with my closest friends, mentors, loved ones, therapists, and also being on my yoga mat and stilling myself in meditation, I recognized the sensations and thoughts that I was having about being in this very moment. They were familiar. I've experienced it before. It was the sensation and embodiment of simply being new. For most of us, when we experience being new, we're filled with excited anticipation, the kind that flutters in your heart space, or anxiety, the kind that you feel pulling and rumbling in your belly, perhaps tensing your shoulder or shallowing your breathing. And sometimes when we experience newness, we also experience sadness, because with some newness, there is a season of letting go and mourning and grieving what was, the kind that makes your face feel really hot, the kind that constricts the back of your throat, the kind that also pulls at your tear ducts. But then there are others of us who might also feel overwhelmed, maybe overwhelmed with the thoughts of, how should I posture myself? Or how should I perform? Or how do I show up in this space? Because maybe you're trying to show or display your competence and brilliance, especially when we think of places like Union that have a reputation for radical thinking. We might sense this internal and external pressure to be extraordinary at all times, needing academic validation and affirmation. But also, this might not sound like you at all. You might feel perfectly grounded and confident, and you might feel joyful. There might be a shoulder shimmy. There might be some sways in your hips. All of these are okay. You're right where you need to be, because newness is complex. And for many of us, being new is integrated within our being as cognitive, emotional, embodied, psycho-spiritual, and identity forming. So after I took some time to sit with my own flood of emotions and allow myself to be fully immersed in my thoughts, something new emerged. I shifted from, I want to sound this way, to, how do we navigate newness at Union? Individually, communally, and collectively, how do we prepare our hearts, minds, and bodies and spirits for this newness? How do we commit to holding space for ourselves and those who are new around us? And I do say we intentionally, because all of us in this room or online or even listening later are new. So maybe it's your first time being at Union, or you're new at Union again as a returning student, faculty member, board member, alum, or a part of the Union community more broadly. We are new together. All of us are new to this academic year, and in the coming days, we'll be new to certain readings, videos, or learnings, conversations, discussions, friendships, energies, if you are sensitive to it, syllabi revisions, course developments, not to mention learning new library systems, or learning the login that is like now one login for everyone. So all of these things are new, and then we have surviving and holding the weight of atrocities in the world, fascism and violence, that will undoubtedly spark new commitments or values in the way that we show up in the academy and beyond. All of these things will be new. There will be learning a new skill, developing a new capacity, or even developing a new boundary, making new mistakes, bumping up against new challenges, finding new areas of ease, joy, and playfulness, or cycling through new versions of ourselves as we continuously evolve, because we're new again. So as I wrestled with my own sense of newness, taking it into my being as I grounded my palms on the mat and pulled my shoulders down and away from my ears, focusing on my inhalations and then my exhalations, and meditating on womanish and womanist wisdom, I began to imagine that how I show up on my yoga mat might be an invitation for us all, which is with inquisitive curiosity and playful patience. Inquisitive curiosity is an active stance and eagerness to learn or know more about something new. by deeply listening, asking questions, deeply listening again, and also moving in sometimes unexpected ways with bravery. It's the kind of being curious and then doing something about it while also being aware of one's own particularities and social location. The curiosity that aligns with the constant and thoughtful questioning of womanish Black girls, as Alice Walker's mentioned in that first part of her 4-part definition of womanism. Black girls who are womanish traditionally want to know more and in greater depths. This type of curiosity also emerges from womanist theology. For example, we hear it in womanist theologian Dolores Williams' methodological description of womanist theology, where she explains that womanist theologians must search for the voices, actions, opinions, and experiences that are often overlooked. This kind of inquisitive curiosity is also akin to the methods and practices of deep contextual listening in womanist ethnography. And then as a side note, I want to make clear that this type of inquisitive curiosity is not only outward, it's also inward. So it invites introspection and self-reflection as we consider our vocational commitments and how we align ourselves with our world and the spaces and places that are around us. Playful patience, then, reflects one's capacity to develop and act upon one's conscious effort to hold space and to be okay waiting in that space and tarrying in that space, managing one's expectations of not only themselves, but of others. This kind of patience takes seriously that others are also new, or they're new again, while also recognizing intersectionality and the importance of lived experiences. I recognize this kind of playfulness, or this patience, as playful because for me it is voluntary. It is interactive, imaginative, multidimensional, contextual, responsive, and it is related to embodied womanist play that practical theologian Lakeisha Lockhart describes as a practice for community building that brings us closer to others and ourselves. For me, especially at places like Union, I imagine that this playful patience creates internal space for us to make sense of who we are in an interreligious and multi-religious community where we all have voice, but also it creates space where we get to deconstruct and reconstruct theological and ideological values, ideas, and practices, not to mention having grace with oneself as we write new papers, learn Chicago-style formatting, and then get acquainted with all of the systems and the people that are around us. Playful patience is also just functional and purposeful, and the bounds are not rigid. It is not always warm and fuzzy, because there are times when we have to check others, and there are other times where we need to be checked. So when we live into this embodied inquisitive curiosity and playful patience, we have the potential to cultivate spaces for radical imagination, compassionate wisdom, communal accountability, shared sacrality, and informed liberative practice within and beyond. It also creates space for us to take risks in our learnings, discover emerging interests, and recognize new yearnings that our souls must have. It creates space for you to be even more you. So in this time of newness, I invite you to take a moment and let yourself notice what's happening in your mind, body, and spirit, and lean into how it feels. Notice the sensations on your skin, the flutters in your heart or in your belly, the ground shifting beneath you, that maybe even a little shakiness too, and the excitement that might be flowing within, or even the fear. And then breathe into it and love your breath while you're doing it. Lean into being in process and in development rather than molding yourself into real or imagined standards. Ground yourselves in community and practices that will prepare, sustain, and fortify your spirit, and then take seriously the womanish and womanist wisdom of inquisitive curiosity and playful patience, being open to questions and questioning with compassion. And then finally, hold on to the fact that Union is the home of many great first theologians, traditionalists, spiritualists, scholars, and practitioners who have also had to be new. In every case, they were all new to this space. You are among them, so you're in the right place. As I bring my reflection to a close, my hope for you and my hope for all of us is that we take time to feel and imagine that this space is for new and it can carry our newness. So in this season of newness, I invite you to consider that what you're seeking is also seeking you. What you're waiting for is also waiting for you. What you're dreaming of is also dreaming of you. What you're reaching for is also reaching for you. What you're hoping for, it's also hoping for you. What you're nurturing is striving to nurture you. So don't miss the moment. This is your time. This is our time to be new together. Ashe.
Someone might think that you were a professor of psychology and religion. That was beautiful and empowering. Thank you. When I was introducing new people, I forgot to introduce one very important new person who is the new executive secretary in Dean Pock's office, Tim Halverson, who's now going to come forward and lead us in song.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Halverson. I'm so excited to be here and new to the Union community. As an offering to this beautiful ceremony, I've chosen to sing one of my favorite songs. It's called Nature Boy, originally recorded by Nat King Cole. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea, a little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, a magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
And Liz?
Hello. As was mentioned by Sreen earlier, I am another new member of the Union community. My name is Liz Reiner Platt, and I direct the Law, Rights, and Religion Project. In that capacity, I've done a fair amount of speaking about the law and legal issues, but this is the very first time I've been asked to offer a prayer, so please bear with me. And I did find a poem written by Judy Chicago in 1979 that I do think meets the moment, and I hope you enjoy it. And also, please come and introduce yourself and say hello. I'll be up on 6. Merger poem by Judy Chicago. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is often harsh and unkind, and then all people will be gentle, and then all people will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another's will, and then all will be rich and free and varied, and then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and then all will share equally in the earth's abundance, and then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old, and then all will nourish the young, and then all will cherish life's creatures, and then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Liz. Casey?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. And thank you, Dr. King, for this somatic bringing into the collective newness. I'm certainly feeling it. I, too, am new, or new again, as returning as the director of our new storytelling initiative. And I have an incantation for us. It's called The Understory. And I want to thank CK for helping me find it, because I was surprised and nervous when I was asked to participate today. And CK and I had been talking about poetry, and CK helped me find this. And there's a wonderful story about how CK found it that I feel like is very Union infused. So ask CK for that story, if you like. And yes, without further ado, this is called The Understory by Alixa Garcia. As long as there is learning, nothing is lost. May we learn our lessons swiftly and lose nothing in our letting go. Courage is to denote the heart as the seat of the spirit. To discourage means to take the heart out. To encourage is to help the other keep the heart within. So I am here to tell you, my stranger and friend, nature resonates in the key of courage. And when we are courageous enough, we too begin to harmonize in this frequency, and everything that lives opens to conspire with us to become more life. Grief is a ceremony, a site for another kind of power. It is the resacralization of sorrow. To make room for a world beyond brokenness, honor the ceremony. Remember to remember. In these times of genocide and ecological suicide, in every action, resacralize life. Sorrow's equanimity is gratitude. Their violence cannot dispel or love. We are now given no choice but to stand in the understory of a miracle. If you're a change maker, expect to change the most. We are an ancestral remembrance flung far into the future. Through a sliver in time, life found a narrow passage. We must walk through it and treasure the dream, no matter the nightmare. Thank you.
Rabbi Klongbaum?
It's such an honor to be here and an honor for us to house Beacon as part of the Union larger community. In a time when extremists and supremacists have taken so many different religious traditions, including my own and many of yours here, to blaspheme God's name in the name of religion. It's so profoundly moving to be among people who understand the role of religion as a place of liberation and peace and freedom and possibilities. I'm personally so deeply grateful to Reverend Davey and to President Serene Jones for their welcoming of us, and we are so excited, Rabbi Moskowitz and myself and the others, at seeing what will emerge in this coming time. Bimkom she'eno anashim, the Jewish text called the Mishnah teaches us, in a place where there is no humanity, it is precisely that moment that we are called by God to express our humanity. Bimkom she'eno anashim, in the moment where humanity has disappeared, it is precisely that moment that we're called upon to be supremely and deeply human. In this week's lectionary for the Jewish people, we read of a strange architectural commandment. And that is that when you build a building, on the roof of a building, it is your obligation to build a parapet. This commandment in the Hebrew Bible has puzzled many. Why would the Hebrew Bible be so concerned with an architectural detail of building a parapet on the top of a building? And from this, our tradition has learned that if you are to build a building where it is possible for someone to fall, if you are to create something where it's possible for someone to be hurt, it is also your obligation to anticipate and to create guardrails that will help the weakest, the most vulnerable, to be safe. That is our job as religious leaders and as people of faith to understand that God calls upon us to be builders of parapets, details that make safety possible for everyone among us. And in this time, we are treated to this profound statement of the week before. While we're considering architectural details, we're also told, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shalt thou pursue. And our tradition teaches us that the reason that justice is repeated twice in a work that wastes no words is to remind us that the ways in which we pursue justice must be full of justice, that the ends never justify the means, that the ways in which we carry ourselves through the world must respect and reflect God's presence in everything we do, from the architectural details of making sure there are guardrails that protect those who might fall, to the ways that we live in the world ourselves. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And I'm so moved to be among students who are beginning this journey to figuring out what your something is that you will do. As each of us in this room and beyond asks God for the wisdom to know what that something is. Joy itself is an act of spiritual and political resistance. I look forward to sharing much joy with all of you. Thank you.
Now, I just wanted to welcome one more person who just slipped in, and that is the new Dean of St. John the Divine and trustee at Union Theological Seminary, Winnie Varghese. Very happy to have you here. And now for Tyrone.
With the lyrics in the order of service, please join me in song, Guide Me, O Thou Great Companion. Guide companion, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but you are mighty. Hold me with your powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me now and evermore. Feed me now and evermore. Open now the crystal fountain where the healing waters flow. Let the fire and cloudy pillar lead me all my journey through. Strong deliverer, ever be my strength and shield. Ever be my strength and shield.
Thank you, Tyrone Davis. And now I'd like to ask Mike Moskowitz to come forward and lead us in our closing benediction.
Source of all blessing, grant us clarity and strength as we begin a new chapter of learning, that our studies not be limited to the world of ideas, but are worthy of manifesting into the world of action. As we become more knowledgeable, may we become better practitioners of the wisdom of our traditions, expanding and accelerating our love for a peaceful and just world until it can be experienced by all of your children. May our classrooms provide opportunities to come closer to you by supporting each other, seeing the most pronounced identity of each and every person as being created in your image and themselves a source of infinite blessing. As we explore and experiment with new ideas and ways of thinking, let us always remember that no one's life is ever hypothetical. May the insights of our texts offer us a better, more idealistic outlook, narrowing the space between the way things are and the way they should and could be. Empower us as your agents of change, encumbered by your expectations of progress and nurtured by your partnership and participation as co-creator. Help us to serve with joy, hope, and resiliency. Increase our faith that in doing the right thing, we will end up in the right place. Protect us in comforting communities as we take on the precarity of speaking your truth of loving kindness to evil structures addicted to hate and oppression. When the global suffering feels overwhelming and incapacitating, help us to focus on the micro affections within reach. Move us in your ways, source of all blessing, to respond to the chaos with light and restore the universe to appreciate the oneness of all creation. And let us say, Amen.